It's 12 o'clock on Wednesday, which means it's time for Rip It Live on Facebook, where we talk about all things softball, from college recruiting to high school happenings to the latest in Rip It equipment and paraphernalia, so that we can educate you, the softball community, to make the best decisions possible. And you can see why more and more coaches, parents, and players are turning to the Rip It brand for their softball needs. We have a very exciting show on for today, as we have a special guest, head coach Julie Lemaire from the Nova Southeastern University Sharks. The Sharks play in the Sunshine State Conference, and they are an NCAA Division II level team, and Julie is going to be a guest on our show, and we'll get to ask her all kinds of questions regarding recruiting, how she builds her program, and what she looks for in prospects. But before we get to Coach Julie, we have a few announcements to make. Firstly, last week's product winner for the Rip It Fielder's Mask was Danielle Dryback Taylor. Danielle won the Rip It Fielder's Mask. Great gift, great present. Way to go, Danielle, just because she tagged and copied parents, coaches, players, and made it public. So that's very important. So congratulations again, Danielle, on winning the Rip It Fielder's Mask. This week, one of my favorite items from Rip It we're giving away, the helmet, which is always great design, great coloring. Visor's great, great eyesight through the visor, very protective, very stylish. I outfit my entire team with Rip It helmets. This is one of the best prizes we could give away, but it's important. In order to win a prize, you must share a video, tag a parent or coach, but you absolutely have to make it public. If it's not public, we can't see it, you can't win. So please, tag, share, parent, player, coach, but please make it public so you have the best chance to win. All right. As well, we want to give a Coach Wes warm welcome to the Lady Panthers of Port Orange, who purchased purchased uniforms for 5 of their teams out of Port Orange. So we're really excited to have the Lady Panthers come on board with Rip It, and the uniforms look great. So again, congratulations, Lady Panthers out of Port Orange, for coming aboard with the Rip It family and purchasing uniforms for 5 teams. Okay, again, Coach Julie Lemaire will be our guest, and if you want to join us, don't forget to share video and tag a parent. In order to win the softball helmet, please comment, ask questions regarding the interview, and we'll try and answer them during the course of the time with Julie. And we look forward to everyone joining us today. Again, my name is Coach Wes Pollock, and I'm your host for the show. And again, welcome Coach Julie Lemaire. Hi, Julie.
Hello there. Thanks for having me today.
Well, great. Thanks for joining us. I have a series of questions, obviously a lot of questions on the minds of our Rip It audience about college recruiting, what it takes to get to the next level. So get ready for me to bombard you with all kinds of different topics. All right?
Sounds great.
Okay. First, I want to start out by asking, if you had a recruiting blank canvas for your 2019 recruiting board, what 3 to 5 areas would you begin to focus on for player recruitment?
Well, I think it always starts at the middle for us. I feel like every program's a little different. We do a lot of focus, obviously, starting on the pitcher's mound. I always say that, everything starts with the pitcher. They're the first person to touch the ball. The next person to touch the ball is the catcher. So that's where our main focus would start. We would start with the pitching position, the catching position, and then shortstop and center field are basically where we would put our foundation. Once we're past that, we look for versatility. And I get asked all the time from, whether it be travel ball coaches, high school coaches, student athletes, what the focus is. And we look for athletes in terms of the other positions. So we want versatility. The more you know about the game, having played other positions, I'd say those are kind of the key 5 areas for us. And then we build off of that.
Okay. In your mind, and your staff, what personal characteristics do you look for in a potential recruit for your program?
It's funny that you asked that because I have a new assistant this year, and we've been really hammering out sort of a philosophy together. Taylor Fuller was my hire from the fall, and she's been a great addition. And we've had a ton of talk about this. And, I feel like athletes are the absolute number one thing that we're looking for in student athletes. I've looked for a little bit of power bats here as of recent, and I think the athletic kid is really doing a lot for us. So we're pushing the kids that have played other sports, that have done something other than softball, and really looking for that. So athleticism would be number one. The second characteristic we're looking for is coachability. And I know everybody says that, but I think it's definitely becoming more of a thing these days. We're wanting kids that realize when they get to the college level, that's when your work actually starts, not when it ends. And I think that's something that we're really trying to go hard at, is a kid that wants to learn more when they get to this level, wants to be coachable, wants to adapt to your system, and wants to be, a program kid. So those are two areas. Another thing is personality. That's a very important characteristic for us. A kid that's outgoing is something that we're really trying to look for, that can carry on a conversation with us in the recruiting, and is someone that wants to be a positive personality for the team and not just another body. And I would say lastly, the thing we're looking for in addition to those are just kids that love the game and want to play. Passion and energy is something that's extremely important. I've talked with Coach Fuller, my assistant, a ton about, I think the one thing that's forgotten when they get to college is you have to love to practice at this level. And that's something that we're losing a little bit as they come in, because they're so used to playing. And so we have to find the kids that when we see them out there playing, that have a ton of energy and they love it, that then when they come here and practice all the time, they're really going to enjoy those few days that they actually get to play.
Yeah, sure, that totally makes sense because, like, even as a travel ball coach of typically pretty high level teams, I always like to, find the athletes. I find that the athletes are the ones that you can coach more easily and adapt to different things you're trying to do. So certainly, athletic players are obviously in high demand, and I agree that you got to love the game. If you love the game, your results and performance will be better. So I'm on board with what you're saying. How important is it talent versus work ethic versus attitude? As you see a lot of kids who are blessed with a great talent, attitude may not be great, work ethic may not be great, but they've been told all their lives how great they are. So
Yes.
they don't have to. Then you have your other players who work their butts off. May not be as talented, but they'll go through a wall for you. As a coach in college, how do you define the difference?
I don't think there's a direct line in that exactly. For instance, Division II is an extremely competitive, high level as well, and I think sometimes that's lost a little bit in the recruiting and forgotten. So we're still going after a high level athlete, but we're not always going to get the highest level athletes. So there is like that in between of, okay, we're going for that, but we still need a work ethic as well. And like I said, we want kids that are going to understand you may play 30 some days out of the entire year. By the time you play double headers and 3-day weekends with 6 games, but the amount of days that you practice outside that. So work ethic does definitely come into play. We want kids that are going to want to be field rats during the year and be out there all the time. And it goes both ways, but we're also finding, as we're trying to find the more talented player, you still need talent. And we have kids that work really, really hard that still just come up a little bit shy on the talent aspect versus some of their teammates, and obviously don't get the opportunities or the starting positions. So I feel like it's a tough question to answer in terms of that, because we do want kids that work, but like we also know that we have to do what's best for the team in terms of putting us in a situation to compete, and that comes with talent. So I think it's finding both and just really doing a good job of talking with people that have previously coached those athletes and saying, okay, you do have a 3 talent that we can maybe make a 4, but like, where is your work ethic to be able to get to that and to be able to become a better athlete with us?
Okay, it's a good segue for my next question, which is many coaches have been quoted, or a few have been quoted at least, saying that they take a 3-star talent with a 5-star work ethic over a 5-star talent with a 3-star work ethic. Is that a realistic statement, or is that more of a motivational statement for an aspiring athlete?
I think it depends a little bit of where you're at, and if you're building, if you're maintaining, if you're at a very high level. I think it is broad. I think we all want the kid that's going to continue to work hard, but more importantly than work ethic is just the ability to be coached. And so, like, you can go and work hard on things, but are you going and working hard on things that are going to make you a better player at the particular level you're at? You don't always have to be the absolute most talented, but if you can do something to increase what you have the ability to do well, I think that, it can go a long way. And we get kids that dig their heels in sometimes with being coached, and the ones that are more coachable tend to somewhat excel beyond those when they get to us. And I think that's all a piece of it. I mean, we'd all love the 5-star athlete, yes, but at the same time, I think what you can do, coachability and work ethic wise, will go a long way. And I think there's definitely motivation in what you can do to get better at this level because you're with a consistent person for so long in a program that does not waver how it feels about things. Whereas you may go in and out of programs or like, high school to travel to a different travel and it becomes inconsistent. At the 4-year level or at the college level, you have 2 to 4 years of complete consistency.
Okay, makes sense. Let's turn a little bit now to leadership. In your mind, what makes a great team leader at the high school level, the travel ball level, and at the college level? Is that leadership a characteristic that evolves over time and maturity, or do some leaders have an innate ability just to lead?
Well, I think there's a little bit of both. I think the special player, the more talented player, obviously has the innate ability to do the lead by example, and their leadership skills are ones that can be done on the regular because maybe they are the more gifted player. However, I think something that can go a really long way now, and we're trying to promote as we're trying to work culture into our program more, going on my 4th season here now. I think something that can really go a long way is just energy with leadership and being the kid that's not scared to tell a player, that's not how we do this here. And then we need to be better. Like, this is what the expectation is, but then also being like the most energy on the field, regardless of if they made a great play or if they're trying to get the motivation of the team going. But there's different ways to lead. I just think sometimes you have to give kids a little bit of push, and they definitely have to understand your system. It's really hard for someone to come in and try to lead right away if they're not, I guess, accustomed to your system or not understanding it. And especially at the 4-year level, because we're with them all the time and we're with them day in and day out. And the college level becomes, something where they have to understand what you're doing from the top in order to become a leader. And so a little bit of it you pick and choose, and then the kids pick and choose and try to see who they can follow by example, and then who they can follow by not only example on the field, but what they're doing to make the program a priority every day.
Okay, and of course there's various areas one can lead on a team, from the dugout, the weight room, on the field by example. Do you have multiple leaders on a team, or do you find that one or two sort of like surpass the rest?
We tend to have, I would say it tends to vary year to year. This particular year, I have been extremely blessed with a 1-year transfer. Suka Van Gerp is a senior for us who's come in. She's older and kind of like a big sister to the girls. So I've been very fortunate that she happens to be not only our most talented player, but, also the person that the girls want to turn to for, whether it be a laugh to put them at ease at that moment, because she's got a great personality, or whether it be someone to have the words that are a little bit more stern, but get them to understand what we need to accomplish at that point. So I would say she's probably our biggest leader when it comes to the day in and day out. And she does a great job with what the expectations of the program are. She's not scared or fearful to come to me and say, Coach, like, what do we need to do to get better? What can we do from the inside? What do you think of this? And I think that's extremely important because, there's nothing worse than trying to have a different message than what you're doing from the top. So us this particular year, I would say we have one, and she's doing a phenomenal job. But, there's been years where I've had kids that go to different people, and we have ones that, evolve way differently in the weight room than on the practice field, than on the game field, and all of those become very important.
Okay. Again, if you're just joining us, we're talking to head coach Julie Lemaire from Nova Southeastern University, a Division II school in the Davie, Fort Lauderdale area. And we're talking about all the potential things to look for in college recruiting, her team, how to build a team, and what aspects make players better. How important are academics to any potential recruit that you're interested in? And how does that translate to the potential offers that one might get with better academics? I think that's a question that the audience wants to know.
They're extremely important. I think we all do what we can. If there's a kid in a situation that, doesn't have the highest, if they're going to be a difference maker, but they're extremely important because there are years where we don't have as much softball scholarship as the next year, or it's tied up in program players already. And so the academic side, especially with this being a private institution that is, more expensive. One of the big things for us is, obviously you get some Florida aid. And then if you have bright futures because your academics are good, and then we have great academic scholarships. So everyone thinks there's a high bonus and loves an academic kid. Plus it shows us that they have discipline, that they care about their academics. And so that becomes very important because at the end of the day, they have to remain eligible while they're here. And for Nova Southeastern, it's a tough school, and we do pride academics. So it's something where if they're not prepared coming in, we have reservations with that. So academics are extremely important for all of us across the board.
And I tell my students that it's crucial as well because the more academically you can come up with, that helps you.
Yes.
Of course, it's the scholarship offer.
Yes.
It's combined academic and athletic offer, not just athletic, but also gives you flexibility to manage the players that make the program better and better. You don't spend as much money on one player because they've got academic money.
Absolutely.
Right?
That is 100% correct.
Yeah, so I tend to instruct my players the same way. How important is it to play more than one position? Versatile, utility. We got 4 or 5, or 2 or 3. Some coaches who just want big bangers who hit the ball off the fence or over the fence, and they stick it in the outfield because they need their bat in the lineup. But I've seen it.
Yeah, so we've done it.
Yes, yeah. Well, and most times catch the ball if it's right to you, but if you have to run into the gap, it's okay. If you want to get one over the fence next time up. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, we do use the old saying, and we hope to only use it for a few players, but there is the old drive in more than you let in. So we do have a couple of those, but for the most part, it's extremely important. And I think the kids are becoming more, adaptable to that, and they do seem more open-minded in that. But what you do when you come to college is so important in terms of how you receive that. So some are well prepared for it based out of their travel ball or high school, because some maybe have to pitch for their high school and don't do that, or have to play positions where they are definitely more versatile. But when it comes to college, you may be a starting center fielder to play your freshman year, but you may be a starting shortstop to play your sophomore, junior, and senior year. And I just think, what's best for the team becomes extremely, extremely important, because you're not always the best player right away when you go to the next level. And if you want to not only, have a chance to compete for a position, but if you want to play on the regular, I think being able to be versatile is very important. And we constantly are moving kids in and out of positions just because we need different options in the starting lineup, and we need bats definitely per se. So if they come in with that understanding of other positions, I think it's a bonus. But also being able to accept changing once you get here is very important if you want to play, and if you want to play all 4 years in some facet. I think it's extremely important.
Yeah, again, I tell my players, and I look as our teams as feeder systems for your college teams.
Yes.
In general, but that you might have a stud shortstop in her senior year, and I have my kid's a shortstop on my team. She's very good, but you have a stud shortstop, so she's going to your school. But if she can hit and play the outfield, more likely she might do that in her freshman year until that shortstop graduates out, and then
Yes.
you transition her to the shortstop position. So it's important to have 2 or 3 spots where you can hold your own, so that you can have a chance to play even as a freshman.
That's exactly right. And that's how everyone's, and sometimes doors get open while you're here. And I think how you accept that will only benefit you.
Okay. What pitching is obviously the central focus of the game. It controls the game. What do you look for in a pitching recruit? So many pitchers out there.
I definitely, so we start out and look a lot at, obviously, pitch control. I like a pitcher that can keep the ball low. I think it's extremely important. it's harder to hit. And it gives us a chance, obviously, to be able to make plays behind. So I like a pitcher that can keep the ball down, that can throw strikes. And then we all, of course, look for swing and miss ability. You know, some have it, some don't, but some will give you a chance. I mean, I would not say that I'm a particular X mile an hour or faster type of coach. I have one kid that throws 62, 63. I have one kid that throws 53, 54. I think they're a great offset for each other. You know, and so I look for a little bit of difference, but also pitchers that I think that can pitch to our defense when it's doing well. And so I think that's important as well, because as we all know, there's more and more pitchers being taken at every program and every level. So getting the strikeout pitchers on the regular is becoming more and more scarce throughout. So you have to find ones that, you know, understand how to produce outs, you know, pop ups, ground outs. Those things are all important.
Sort of like a pitch to contact philosophy.
Absolutely.
Use your defense. Yeah, okay. Again, if you're just joining us, we're talking to head coach Julie Lemaire from Nova Southeastern University. Please share, tag video, do it publicly. Also gives you an opportunity to win this week's Rip It helmet. And if you have any questions or comments, please send them in, and we'll be happy to try and answer them as we continue with the interview with Julie Lemaire. When you're recruiting for a specific year, what do you do by position, available funding, or specific needs in that specific year?
Well, you know, recruiting is very interesting. You know, it's kind of like coaching. Like, you're never done coaching, well, you're never done recruiting. You know, I feel like we set out every year and we say, okay, this is what we have, this is what we need, and sort of our depth chart or our puzzle, and we start to put the puzzle together. Well, then in about February, somebody gets injured. You know, your starting left fielder becomes your starting third baseman, and does a pretty good job. And then, you know, there's so many aspects to recruiting where I feel like you're truly never done recruiting. You know, a kid at the end of the year decides, you know, college softball isn't what I thought it was going to be. Or, you know, academics are forcing me to, you know, to quit. So I think it's, everybody always asks me if we're still looking for the current year. And yeah, we usually always are. But at the same time, there's so much of it that I think is lost in translation with the understanding of, yes, there's scholarship that is tied up and kids are already there, but yet you're still trying to figure out how to replace the position with minimal money, no money.
Up with a plan, but it has to be constantly changing because you have to do what's best for your program at the end of the day.
Okay. Have the NCAA rule changes impacted your recruiting strategy?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that question.
Have the NCAA rule changes had any impact on your recruiting strategy?
Oh, the new rule changes? Not really. I mean, especially for us, you know, we're still like in that transition of trying to get Nova Southeastern where I want it. So, you know, for us, we're still in the year to 2 years cycle. I think obviously for Division I, it's been a ton of change. I think for some of the Division II coaches that are a little further out, a big change. I think it will, ideally, I think it will help the recruiting, especially of the 4-year Division IIs and the junior colleges, just with the simple fact it'll give us a little bit more time on a kid at that level. But we're still, you know, we're still working on the puzzle pieces here and finally at a point where we feel like we're stepping in the right direction to be able to start looking out further. So we in particular have not been affected as much as some may have been.
Okay. What's your advice to parents and recruits when choosing a school and softball program? So a lot of times I find players are caught up with the Division I labeled, you know, and playing at the high level, or the ESPN football schools that they see on TV versus an ability zone to play.
that, I think, because, the recruiting side is so interesting, but yet so is the side where, obviously the parents and the kids make the decision. I think for me in particular, I think it takes sometimes a little different kid to play for me. I'm super intense. I'm a yeller. I'm like the biggest fist pump, run onto the field, but also not afraid to tell you when you're not upholding the way the program wants it to be upheld. So I think that sometimes when kids get here, they're like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be quite like this. I didn't know that you were going to expect this much out of us. And I tend to push to where, I want you to become a different and better player here. I think that it's extremely important that the recruits and their parents do their homework on that. Go to a game and watch the coach. And if you don't like the fact that she's not, cheering and smiling in the third base coach's box when a kid strikes out or doesn't execute a signal, or if she or he does something that you feel like you're not going to be able to handle from the receiving end, I think those things are important, because then they get to you, and I always tell the kids, I'm going to be hard on you. I'm going to push you harder than you've ever been pushed, and if you don't like that style, this is probably not the place for you. And we have a lot that get confused once they get here. I think that's extremely important. I think liking the school is also important, but at the same time, not just going to a program that you think is good because of the school, that you're not going to enjoy the program. Because when you go to a school for a school, you're affecting you. When you go to a school for a program, you're affecting about 25 people between coaches and players. So going there and not liking that program or that style, can be a negative, and can definitely be a culture bust for some places. So I think that, understanding and talking with the student athletes from that team, talking to the current players, and just, knowing that you're going to be pushed, but you're going to be loved more than anybody here. If that's what you want, then this is the place. If you want to go somewhere where you're going to get to go through the motions and lay back, it's probably not the place. And I think everybody has their own style, and truly understanding that style is extremely important.
Yeah, excellent advice. Better to be seen earlier than later by you. Get on your radar earlier through showcase tournaments, through travel ball, your own camps that you hold, because the colleges are looking 2 to 3 years in advance for certain years. So better sooner than later. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think, or in terms of how far out to watch them, yes,
Yeah.
I think it's extremely important to have, to show interest in the schools. It helps us to say, okay, we have that need for that year. We're probably going to have that need for that year. And then it helps us remember those kids when we get a late need, or know, hey, that kid's really interested. I think camps are becoming more and more important, just for the simple fact there is a little bit of receiving of what type of coaching style there is,
Right.
And what type of coaching there is, and what our emphasis is at the camps. And then there's a ton of contact with the players. I think that's extremely important. But also, obviously giving us your tournaments is important too, because we want to see you on the field. Are you dragging going out to the field? Are you bringing energy to the team and excited, and are you going hard after balls, or are you, did the loss affect you? Or are you just wondering where the next field is? I think those things are important, because more and more we're having issues finding kids that we can see are affected by a win and a loss, or good play where you came up short, and obviously poor play where you came up short. So I think those things they're all important, and obviously if we know you're interested, we're going to have a better chance of seeing those things in the time before your class gets to our plate.
Okay. As we get close to the conclusion of our interview, let's talk about your program, your school. Who are your biggest rivals and teams that you need to beat to move up in your conference?
Well, I will say, since I got here 3-4 years ago, I think the conference just continues to get better. It's been exciting to see that. There's there's never an easy weekend, and like this week is a great week for us. We have a lot of good teams just in terms of conference, but the overall conference, I think Tampa was a really tough weekend for us. They're doing a great job. Rollins is at the top of the conference. I'm excited to play them in a few weeks. They're having a heck of a year. St. Leo's obviously been on the top of the conference for 3-4 years. They're always a tough one. I give a lot of credit to a lot of the coaches because it's just constantly a battle. And when you play 3 games against the same team, you're just hoping that your kids come every day to play because the other team's thinking the same thing. So I would say those are the 3 that really are sort of sparked. And then, gosh, I forgot about Florida Tech even, and they're having a heck of a year. So
Right.
so those 4 are really making a big push this year where I don't know, I think everybody's a rival when it comes to conference, and every year it changes, and every time of the year it changes. So we just get our kids ready to play. We talk all the time about playing Nova Southeastern softball. No matter who we're going up against, that's our task, and not to worry about the opponent, because they too are 18 to 22-year-olds that are trying to play the same game at a high level just like you are.
Right. You control what you can control.
Exactly.
All right. Well, again, we want to thank Coach Julie Lemaire from Nova Southeastern University for appearing on our Rip It Live on Facebook show. We appreciate you spending time with us, and we want to wish you and your Nova Southeastern Sharks the best of luck the rest of the season, and certainly come playoff time.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Again. And now as we move to one of our more popular and favorite segments, the Rip It High School Heroes of the Week. Dr. Phillips continues to roll, moving to 12-2 on the season with a lopsided win over Celebration, 15-0. A lot of heroes in that game. Ali Sheik was 4 for 4 with a double, 2 home runs and 7 RBIs, and 4 runs scored. Gracie Lopez was 2 for 2 with a double and 4 runs scored. Deja Ben was 2 for 3 with a double, RBI, and 4 runs scored. And Rachel Trockey threw her 6th no-hitter of the season with 8 strikeouts for the win, and I think Rachel even added the 7th no-hitter in the last 24 hours. So excellent job by Dr. Phillips. Lake Brantley with a big 2-1 win over Apopka, led by a pitching performance of Misako, who pitched a complete game, giving up 1 run on 3 hits with 10 strikeouts. So big win for Lake Brantley over Apopka. Bailey Fernandez was 4 for 4 with 2 RBIs, and Stacy Hudson was 3 for 5 with 5 RBIs in South Lake's 16-8 win over Umatilla. University of Hartford commit Sarah Barefoot, who is a first baseman by normal trade, because I know she plays on my team, has been asked to step up in the pitching circle this season for Lake Mineola, and she helped them to a 3-1 win over Osceola. Sarah pitched 10 innings, striking out 5 and scattering 5 hits. So in an extra inning affair, she went all 10 innings to get the win. Sarah has the ability to pitch, but it's not her primary spot, but great job in stepping up for your team and helping them out. Holly Heath pitched 7 innings and struck out 5 and leading the Windermere Wolverines to a 2-0 win over the Bishop Moore Hornets. Holly's a great competitor. I know her as well. Nice job by Holly there. The Windermere Prep Lady Lakers continue to roll as they came in with a big 4-3 come-from-behind win over the team from Faith Christian. So the Lakers have been on a little bit of a roll recently. And finally, a big crosstown rival game took place between the West Orange Warriors and the Olympia Titans, with the Warriors claiming victory 7-3. It was a tight game through 3 innings, but the Warriors busted it open in the 4th inning. The Titans fell to 9-4, while the Warriors improved to 7-9. It's always a great battle when these two teams, longtime rivals, lay down the gauntlet between the white lines. Historically been great games. And those are your Rip It High School Heroes of the Week. Finally, remember, Moms, Rip It has a private Facebook group just for you. I hope you'll see you there. Hope that you join it. Just search Softball Mom Squad or click the link in the comments below. Thank you and we certainly appreciate you doing that. And again, like, comment, share, tag the show today. Make sure it's public if you want a chance to win this great helmet. Just like Danielle won the Rip It mask last week. You got to make your comments and your shares and your tags public so we can see them, and you have the opportunity to do that. I want to thank everybody for joining us for today's show. I thought it was a great show with Coach Lemaire. Hopefully you got a lot of great information in terms of recruiting and what college coaches are looking for in upcoming prospects. And we look forward to seeing everyone next week again, Wednesday at noon, for Rip It Live on Facebook.